You're watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearny, Southwest Florida's retirement television. He's an author, a radio host, a fiduciary, and Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor. Here is Senior Investment Advisor Eric Kearny.
Hello and welcome to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearny. I'm Wendy Falk and I'm here with Eric Kearny, President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. How are you, Eric?
Great, Wendy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Eric, on today's show, we're going to talk about 8 critical questions you need to know.
Right.
It's important to know information about your retirement and income plan. So we're going to pose 8 questions to you and give you the answers. It's really important. You might want to take notes. So Eric, you do a personal financial blueprint for your clients. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so I've been in this business for almost 20 years, and I'll tell you, we've been doing this process for 20 years, and I look for something better, and I can't find anything better. And we keep improving this, but this gets you reacquainted with your portfolio. And more than likely, I tell every single potential client that comes in, more than likely, you're gonna know more about your portfolio than ever before. And so people get really excited about that because they're like, you know what? I really don't know what I own. I don't know what's in my portfolio. I don't know why this was chosen for me. And so it's really important to know what the process is that is chosen to choose these investments. Like, how are they actually picking my portfolio? And so what are the parameters that the advisor is setting? So there's a lot of people that are coming in, and I can see, again, right away that the portfolio is probably not working for them. The portfolio, as corny as this sounds, the portfolio has to speak to me about what it's trying to do. If the client is trying to accumulate, I understand that it has to be a growth portfolio. If they want preservation of capital, then if it's an equity-driven portfolio, that's not serving their needs. They might be looking for income. They might be looking for future income. Whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, I want to make sure that that portfolio is actually doing it for them. So through the personal financial blueprint, it's answering all of these questions. And the thing that I really like about it is, if the report starts off very good, it will prove through the rest of the report, as we get deeper and deeper in it, it will prove why the portfolio is a good portfolio. On the other hand, if it starts off poorly, it will also prove why the portfolio is not working for that client. So the further that we get into this report, the people are figuring out more and more about their portfolio, again, than they've ever known before. So our job is to get them reacquainted with that portfolio and say, look, we can make some significant changes for you that are going to affect you for a very long time. And people really like this. So when somebody's really serious about financial planning and they really are taking their retirement incredibly serious, we're starting them off with this very first process, the personal financial blueprint.
Well, Eric, you do so many things for your clients. This is complicated, and that's why people need a professional like you. You do that comprehensive written financial plan, you do the personal financial blueprint, the lifestyle plan. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of getting to know your clients, and that's why they come to you, because they really appreciate all of the time and effort that you take into getting to know them and helping them plan for their financial future.
I think the one thing that we hear often is that, Eric, no one's ever taken this much time, this much effort, this much of an investment in me and my personal situation. And we have to do that. I want to know where you're coming from in order to understand where you need to go. And we're not just taking over your investment saying, don't worry about it, we'll do a better job. That's not how we play, around here. Our job is to have full transparency with that client, letting them know where they stand, but also showing them that we do want to give you a better portfolio. We want to give you a smarter portfolio so that you're able to get through these tumultuous markets. So the thing is that we start off with a personal financial blueprint and we answer an awful lot of questions.
Well, Eric, our first question that we want to ask today in the 8 critical questions that you need to know is, what is my average annual return for my past 1, 3, and 5 years?
Right. So this is actually tied into your withdrawal rate. And we have to show you what your withdrawal rate has to be in order for your income plan to be sustainable. Oh, and by the way, there's income and taxes, right?
Yes.
And so we've got we've got income taxes on top of that, and then we have inflation. And so when we're showing the client, they're like, well, I'm a very conservative investor. I appreciate that, but sometimes if you're so conservative, you will not outpace inflation. So we have to be aware of all the risks that we have in the portfolio. And while we appreciate that some people are conservative, you can't be so conservative that you will eventually run out of money. So we have to come up with a concerted effort. We have to really build a portfolio that takes into account that client's risk tolerance, but also understanding what their withdrawal rate is and understanding what their 1, 3, and 5-year rate of return is. The 3 and the 5-year rate of return are the most critical because even though long terms are really the only ones that matter, the 3 and 5-year are where we live. And so we've got to pay our bills in that 3 and 5-year period. The point is that if your 3 and your 5-year rates of return are low in a really good market, my question is, what are they going to be in a not so good market? So now the client says, well, I'm going to go back to my advisor and really ream him out. Well, you can't solve a problem from the same mindset that created it. So that should be the very best portfolio that advisor is going to give you. Imagine if I go back to my advisor saying, hey, you did a horrible job these past 3 and 5 years. And they say to you, well, we can do better. Why didn't you do that for me 3 and 5 years ago? So this is why it's critical. I want all of my clients to know what their 1, 3, and 5-year rate of return is, but they also understand what their withdrawal rate. That holds me accountable to that client.
Very good. Here's question number 2. What's the appropriate benchmark for my portfolio?
Right.
And let's just add this to it as well. And have I done better or worse than my benchmark?
Right. So a lot of people are taking a 60-40 portfolio, which is 60% equities and 40% fixed income, and comparing that to the S&P 500, which is 100% equities. You can't do that. So what you have to do is you've got to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and making sure that you're finding the appropriate benchmark to the asset classes that you're actually in. So we're doing this full personal financial blueprint, and we're taking a look at what they have and making sure that we understand what their appropriate benchmarks are. Now, are you doing better or worse than the benchmarks? Are you actually having a good portfolio built for you, or are you just better being off in index funds? And there's a lot of people that when they see this, they're kind of ticked off at their advisor because they're like, why am I even paying them? They've given me nothing. A lot of people this year, Wendy especially, they're not seeing any value in their current advisor. That's why they're calling us and saying, look, Eric, I need better direction because now I am going to take my retirement seriously. When we go through a bull market and everybody's just making money, we quickly look at our statements and we're like, we're okay. In a year like this, now all of a sudden people are like, I better start paying attention. So the thing is that I think even in a bull market run, you still have to pay attention to everything because what happens when that bull market stops? You've got to be prepared. So the bottom line is that you want to know what your appropriate benchmarks are and really make sure that they're apples to apples when comparing those.
And you mentioned something really important there. In a volatile market, people want guidance. Mm-hmm. And when they call you, they want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And when they call Retirement Wealth Advisors, they get to talk to somebody. You'll say to them, hey, come on in, let's sit down and talk about it. Is there anything I can help you with over the phone?
Right.
And as we've said before, you have 4 office locations in Southwest Florida, so you can meet with them in any of those offices closest to their homes.
Right. So we had a person call in about 2 months ago, and they're like, I'm really serious about my finances. I've saved up quite a bit of money, but I'm not in a good position. I want to come in. We're like, okay. So we made an appointment, and they called, and they said, we have to reschedule. We understand that things come up. And so the second appointment, they call us up, and they're like, oh, we've got to reschedule. My cat has to have a tooth taken out or whatever it was. And then the third time they rescheduled, and we just called them back, and we said, look, we're busy, and we're not interested in meeting with that person. We're meeting with people right now. We are so busy in all 4 of our offices that if you can't make your third appointment, we're done. We will not call you. We will not work with you. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, that's kind of tough. But the bottom line is that we want to work with people who are serious about their wealth. I mean, there's a lot of people that are coming in and they want to go through the process. We're taking all the time to do the personal financial blueprint. We're writing a full-blown financial plan. We're writing a lifestyle income plan. These take hours and hours and hours. And so we have to have a dedicated team to put all this stuff together. It's very time consuming, but we want to work with that person who is uber serious about their retirement plan.
Well, Eric, I think this would be a good time to open up the phone lines. The number is 1-800-779-1942. We're going to take the first 10 callers who are very serious about their retirement. Eric has a special offer for those first 10 callers. What is that, Eric?
So be one of the next 10 callers. If you're serious about your finances, this is a great opportunity for you. We're going to run all the reports for you, the fee reports, the Morningstar reports, a tax analysis, maybe even a volatility analysis. Let's see where it takes you. Let's see where that plan leads you. Let's get you reacquainted with your portfolio, and again, without any obligation. If you're interested in your very own income plan, we'll show you proven strategies and techniques to turbocharge your retirement income. In short, we're going to take all the guesswork out of financial planning, so give us a call at 1-800-779-1942.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Retirement Talk with Eric Kearny.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Thanks for joining us again. Eric and I have been talking about 8 critical questions you need to know. And I believe we're on number 4, Eric.
That's good.
Yeah, we're moving right down the line. The 4th question is, do I have a risk management formula in place to help protect my assets if the economy or markets crash?
Right. So I don't think that a lot of people do. I think it's a set it and forget it mentality from their advisors. They don't have any contingency plans in place. When we talk about contingency plans, people are always like, Eric, that's all you talk about is contingency plans. But
yeah, kind of.
But you got to understand that there's many different types of contingency plans. There's a lot of different ways that we're reducing risk. We have contingency plans in the financial plan. We have contingency plans in the lifestyle income plan.
So there's a reason you talk about contingency.
Exactly. I mean, there's contingencies within contingencies, yeah. Right? And so also in the investment plan, the wealth management side, there's contingencies in there. And so if everything doesn't go as planned, there's a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, because I can't go back to my clients and say, hey, the market just crashed, but we're going to have to turn off your income. Oh, by the way, you can't pay for your daughter's wedding. That's unacceptable. I told you before, Wendy, that we have some very demanding clients. They're great people, but they're also very serious about their money. So when they come to me, they're like, here you go, Eric. You told me that you're going to get this done. I don't want to know about when the market crashes. I want to know that things are going to be okay. So this is why we're putting all these contingency plans in place. How do I get around these hurdles? We see different hurdles every single day. We're trying to prevent these things from happening. And we had a potential client that called us a couple months ago and said, Eric, I really need to do trust work for my mom. I was like, okay. They had a lot of assets all over the place. I said, why don't you come in? Well, I'm too busy. I'm like, okay, but you got to get this stuff protected and so forth. So we've been talking for months and months and months. Last week, she calls me up. She goes, Eric, my mother was in a horrible car accident. Now we're terrified that they're going to come after us, right? And so Unfortunately, it takes a horrific event to occur before we actually take action, right? And so we're actually going through and we're telling all of our clients, these are things that you need to do, right down to even an umbrella policy. I mean, we have nothing to do with that umbrella policy, although it's very inexpensive to have, and it's another piece of coverage that you have. So the bottom line is that we're trying to be proactive and reducing any kind of risk, reducing any kind of hurdles that are in there. And it's an everyday struggle, because you're constantly looking at different things. Forget about what the markets are doing. I mean, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, they're volatile, interest rates are crazy. So that's a whole nother thing to deal with. But you can see all the moving parts that go on here. And that's really where you have to have a very large team, and more importantly, a very capable team that we can manage this. But this personal financial blueprint is highlighting everything that's going on in the portfolio. It's giving us a starting point to say, okay, this is where you are. We're getting you reacquainted with that portfolio. Now let's fix it and move forward, and always have that proactive strategy that people need.
Well, Eric, next on our list is, what is my risk-adjusted return, or Sharpe ratio? Right.
So what is my annual rate of return versus the amount of risk that I'm taking? Really boils down to that. What is with how much risk I'm taking, am I actually being rewarded for that? So we're showing people, if you're not managing your risk, if you're not managing your volatility, you're not managing the portfolio. Everybody always cares about what your rate of return is. And I've got this guy calling me up, and I've talked about him before. Eric, what's your rate of return for last year? I don't know. It depends on what portfolio you go into. But people that are chasing returns don't appreciate financial planning. They just think that they can outperform their retirement, and you can't. So the thing is that we're not really focused on actually the rate of return. We're more focused on reducing the volatility, reducing the risk, and actually having a smoother rate of return over time. That's really what my clients value.
Well, that brings us, you just brought this up just a little bit in your answer. Am I being adequately rewarded for the risk I take with my investments?
Right. So when we first start off and we start to talk about risk tolerance, where is your risk tolerance? And a lot of times we're seeing people that they are in a completely inappropriate portfolio for their age. So our goal is actually to reduce down that risk tolerance, make them a little bit more conservative, but they still may need a decent rate of return. So we've got to figure out how to do that. And that's all the different moving parts that go in this. There's so many different moving parts that we have to pay attention to what's important in 10, 15, and 20 years down the road. Always mitigating risk, keeping in mind their risk tolerance. Oh, and by the way, we've got to provide them income at the same time too, right?
Well, at Retirement Wealth Advisors, that's what you all do so well. You're accountable. People can get a hold of you.
Right.
You keep in touch with them, and that's why you're so good at this.
Right. It's been, we have evolved over the years. I mean, I think that we've always done an extremely good job, but now we're really getting into a lot of strategic planning. We're really getting into wealth management. We're getting into sophisticated tax income strategies. We're getting into reducing that market exposure. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of what a client actually needs. And the interesting thing is that every single client that walks through the door, everyone's a little bit different. So we're meeting them and saying, okay, this is going to be exciting. What does this client need? And I'll tell you, you can have 10 different people walk in and everyone needs something a little bit different. So what we're doing is that we're bringing them in, putting them all through the process, figuring out specifically what that client needs, and then building something from there.
Okay. Eric, again, this will be a good time to open up the phone lines. The number is 1-800-779-1942. We'd like to take the first 10 callers who are very serious about their retirement. And Eric has a great offer for those first 10 callers. Eric, please tell them what that is.
Sure, Wendy. If you're interested in a second opinion or you're looking for a full written financial plan, give us a call today. We're going to take the next 10 callers who have saved at least $500,000 for retirement. And what this will consist of is running all the reports, the fee reports, the Morningstar reports, a tax analysis, maybe even a volatility analysis. Let's see where it takes you. Let's see where that plan leads you. Let's get you reacquainted with your portfolio, and again, without any obligation. If you're interested in your very own income plan, we'll show you proven strategies and techniques to turbocharge your retirement income. In short, we're going to take all the guesswork out of financial planning, so give us a call today, 1-800-779-1942. 1942.
Please stay with us. We have a lot more coming up on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearny.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearny. Eric, let's continue on with our questions you need to know. This is one that I'd like to ask you. What do people find wrong with their portfolios?
Good question. So when I meet with a client and in the classes that we teach, I will tell someone if there is something wrong with your portfolio, it's typically not one or two things wrong. It is typically 3 to 4 major things that are wrong with that portfolio. So when we do the personal financial blueprint, we're trying to identify the strengths and the weaknesses. We're looking for duplication or diversification. We're looking for how much risk, how much volatility is in there, how much you're paying in fees, correlation. Do you have things that are moving up and down at the same time? There's just so many different things. So when we're pointing out 3 and 4 major things that are wrong with that portfolio, we kind of already know how that meeting's going to go. Either the people are going to fight me with it, or they're going to be like, okay, I agree with you. We need to fix that. And so we've seen both sides, you know, and some people kind of take their portfolio personally. And so again, I 100% respect everyone that comes in the door and how they've made their money. I am not trying to bash their portfolio whatsoever. I'm being factual, and I'm giving them, you know, I'm showing them better alternatives. And a lot of times we talk about an outdated portfolio where things have not been changed around for years. And so I have literally heard before, I know for a fact my advisor's on the golf course more than he's in the office. We don't want to hear that. So the bottom line is that we are going from all of our offices on a day-to-day basis, meeting a lot of people who actually need help. We're not out on the golf course or on a boat somewhere. So the thing is that we have to service our clients, and we're proving to them what's not working in that portfolio.
We know you're not on the golf course because you're not that great of a golfer.
I'm a horrific golfer. Yes.
Not getting any practice, are you?
Terrible. Yeah.
Well, let's go on to how much exactly am I paying in fees each year, and is it worth it? So that's where the value comes in.
Yeah.
People are okay with paying some fees, but they want some value for it.
Yeah, we see people coming in. I always talk about variable annuities. We don't sell variable annuities, never have. I mean, they're a horrible product. We have actually referred people that have variable annuities to our current clients and said, look, I want you to call my current client. I want them to tell you what we did with their variable annuity. And we have fixed annuities all the way from $50,000 up to $2 million. We are replacing millions and millions of dollars of variable annuities every single year. So people are coming into us, and you know, we're not a very big annuity shop, but we're seeing where people have been sold very inappropriate products. They're paying super high fees, and it's not really working out for them. We have also seen people where we've gotten them out of variable annuities, and I'll tell you, if they stayed in those for another 3 years, that would have been extremely detrimental to their long-term retirement. So we were actually able to get them out of them in time, put them into something that was significantly more appropriate for them. And what they see right away is we're reducing their fees. they don't want to be paying these fees to these companies. And so even with hedge funds or retail funds, you can see where people are paying, even in some of these retail funds, around 1 or 1.5%. It's insane. So we've got to reduce your fees because that does take away from your pocketbook. And there was one guy that said, honestly, Eric, he says, I don't really care about my internal fees. And I said, okay, let me put it to you this way. What if you had to cut a check every year for about $5,000 out of your personal bank account? He's like, well, I don't like the thought of that. It's no different whether you see them taking those fees or not. So he's like, okay, how do I reduce those, right? So the thing is that these are the little financial termites that we see on a regular basis. All these fees that people are paying, are you getting any value? But it's also cutting into the growth of that fund as well. So a lot of these products, tools, and investments have evolved over the years. They've gotten significantly better. Ask yourself, is my portfolio up to date, and am I doing better than I was 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, this brings us to our last question. Am I 100% certain I am doing the best I can with the resources that I have?
Right, so this is a big question that I ask, Wendy. Are you sure that you're doing the very best that you can with the resources that you have? And there's a lot of people that say, you know what, Eric, I don't really know if I can answer that question. So again, that's where we start to put them down with this through this process. There's no cost, there's no obligation. We're doing all the hard work up front. We're trying to offer this client value, and we're trying to say, look, let's get this done for you.
Okay. Eric, we're going to open up the phone lines one last time. The number is 1-800-779-1942. I'd like to take the first 10 callers who are really serious about their retirement. Eric, can you please tell those callers what they will receive when they call in today?
Sure. Give us a call today. We'll get that income plan done for you. 1-800-779-1942.
Eric has 4 office locations located throughout Southwest Florida. A new office in Bonita Springs, located off of Vanderbilt Drive. It's beautifully done. He has an office in Cape Coral, an office in Punta Gorda. You correct me if I'm wrong. An office in Sarasota as well.
Yep.
So you can call in and meet Eric and his team close to your home. Eric also, his website is erickearneyadvisor.com. You can download a brochure, The Portfolio Recovery Strategy, as well as this retirement income guide, which I think is fabulous with all of the things inside of it that people
And you
can
know,
read.
Wendy, a lot of times all these questions are inside that retirement income guide. So once they download that, they're going to see all these questions that we talked about today.
Right, and they'll be ready to come and see you for their appointment.
Yep. So give us a call today. Get that income plan done. We'll take the next 10 callers. 1-800-779-1942.
Thanks for watching today. Remember, you only retire once. Let's get it right the first time. Have a great week and an even better retirement.